I'm going to tell you a little story about a young man, and this is a real slumdog millionaire story we've got for you right now. A young man who first started as a waiter and a street vendor, and eventually made his way all the way to Fortune 500 corporate brands. He's now a strategic advisor to governments. He's a leadership expert and an award-winning, best-selling author of The Roaring Lambs and The Moment of Signal. Now, he's going to stay with us for the rest of the evening, so if you do want a book, don't panic. You'll get your chance to get a signed book from the man himself. But first of all, please enjoy the motivational words of Mr. Sridhar Bevara.
Are you a strong lion or a timid lamb?
This is Sridhar Bevara, who has written some very remarkable books. An amazing sort of rags to riches story in his own right, which many of you should know.
Yeah, you see the book beside me.
We have Mr. Sridhar Bevara.
Sridhar Bevara.
Sridhar Bevara. Thank you so much.
What did you do? How did you pick up all these ideas?
Your aspirations, your ambitions, your emotions, your relations.
Because it offsets the balance.
Sridhar Bevara. He is the author of Moment of Signal.
Change is always resistance. The world was not ready.
Check out Sridhar's new book.
Moment of Signal, Sri Bevara.
Sri Bevara, who is a award-winning author and very interestingly started life as a street vendor.
Consistency is very important.
He asked you to be consistent. That is it, yeah?
Hello everyone. After hearing about the real motivational story of Miss Bussy and the story of Mr. Bussy, I don't think I can call whatever I'm going to speak now is going to be motivational anymore. Hence, I would probably try and narrate few real stories when we are up against the challenge of the environment. What kind of leadership comes out of those instances when we are put against the challenges posed by the environment, when we have our backs at the wall in the corner. So I came with a different idea, but now I'm going to manipulate a bit about what I'm going to talk to you. Yesterday, if you all could see my shoes shining, I went to Carrefour, next to my place, to get the wax. And then I saw something very interesting there. A gentleman trying to speak to his kid. And he was telling, Muhammad, will behave nicely. The baby is cranky. Muhammad, I will not make noise. Muhammad, will be gentle because we are in the public. Muhammad, and I see this very interesting because he is so composed and he's trying to talk to the baby. Baby is really cranky. And how gentle is this man trying to persuade Muhammad, I thought. And I went up to him. I like meeting people, speaking up to the people. And I said, Mr. Muhammad, sir, it is brilliant to see that how good you're speaking to your kid. This is a lesson for many parents. Then he said, I am that Muhammad. So he was trying to be aware of the surroundings. Even though it's just a real experience, I thought maybe I'd share it with you. when the environment is up against you, because we wanted to do many things, many ambitions, many aspirations, that's all fine. But I would like to confirm to each one of you in this room that your experience cannot be my experience. Never ever we can relate with what you go through, what I go through. Each one of us wired so differently. We are so different, wired so separate. 7.3 billion people will not act like you, think like you, behave like you, do anything like you. That unique, each one of us. So it is an imperative thing for me on my part not to talk about a thing and try and tell you that this is a common experience. That would be stupid of mine. I won't do that. However, there is a good thing that there is something that connects us. And you'll be surprised to know what is that something that connects us, all of us. The reason why something connects us is that we are invariably looking to survive. That's one. Thrive in a place where we want to earn the livelihood. Our livelihood, probably some people earn the livelihood or work for the livelihood only for themselves. Some are working for their family. Some are working for their group. Some are working for a cause. Everything is connected universally with the environment. Hence, we have a common thing that we are connected through is the environment, the surroundings of ourselves. Hence, it is very important for us to stay aware what is happening around us, and if not, the chances of we staying relevant becomes irrelevant. There's a real story, and it has happened in 2002, August 16th. It's a story of soldier, and I'm glad I just came to know that Miss Basi's father is a soldier himself. I just came to know, then I picked up this story. This gentleman named Johnny, we are not taking the places. This Johnny is piloting a A-10 Warthog. It is meant to be a low-flying aircraft, heavily armored, and it is meant to help the ground troops at a very low, higher level in the air. And it helps the ground troops pass through the places of tension. So there were two such Warthogs, and Johnny was the leader of these two. There were few Marines, about 20-odd Marines are passing through. The area is cliffy, hilly area. Am I resounding? Area is hilly, completely dark. There is a sense of weird silence, and something is not really right. And the pilot on the top, who is giving the cover, along with the wingman, there are two, right, A-10s, they could hear something on the radio that there is something wrong. They're sensing something wrong. And then Johnny tells the wingman, come, let's go down and see what's happening. It is so blue night sky filled with hills and cliffs. It's not so easy because this terrain is nothing like a movie, nothing like ever heard of. It is totally a new terrain for them. And then suddenly there is a distress code that is from the ground troops that they are under contact, which means it is a real code of firing is going to happen. Now the Johnny tells the wingsman, come, let's go down. 1001, 2001, 3001, both are going like this. And they came down, they started throwing the artillery, and then again they go up. They continue to do that until Johnny is out of the artillery. Still, they are still in the place, and the ground troops are still, because it is so very different. The firing is coming from all the corners of the place. Very unique. They are trapped. Now the Johnny tells, okay, let's go down. Johnny doesn't have a problem with the fuel, but he has a problem with no artillery. He decides, because he cannot ask the other person to go down alone. Come, let's go down. Now they both come down, and then the wingman is throwing the artillery. Finally, after so many attempts, the ground troops have made it safe. Not a single Marine got hurt. And then, after that operation was over, Johnny was asked, what made you to do this? Because it was so dangerous, you could have died. He said simply, because army man speaks very less precise, and he said, I did because any one of them could have done the same to me if I was in that situation. Where does this leaders like Johnny Bravo comes up? And what is the unique wiring in these people? Because these people can sacrifice their life for others, whereas in businesses, we sacrifice others for our survival most of the times. Forget about sacrifice, we don't even give the credit to the people that we are working with. So mean we act at the places of work or in the society, different walks of the society. Just a piece of credit we don't even give. Now this is one. Now that we are moving to the second story. Remember, because we are going to come back to the story, there is a relation what we are talking about. Now the second story, it happened in 1916. You know the radio, anyone can tell me who has invented the radio? Anyone? Marconi, yes. Yes, please raise your hand, sir. Thank you. Marconi. But you know the laborious process of finding the radio, it took almost 7-8 decades. Hundreds of people have worked to bring, to come to the shape of that radio which we think that this is the radio. 70, 80 years of work, research and development towards making the radio. Finally, when the radio is there, and there's a company called RCA, Radio Corporation of America, the big company, they are finding abundantly challenging with the environment, because this is not a piece to sell, because radios then were sold as a piece of news. But if you remember in 1916, the New Jersey, for example, New Jersey, because this story is from New Jersey, New York, downtown, Manhattan, all those places were inundated with a lot of news, like morning 10 o'clock news, 12 o'clock news, afternoon news, evening news, inundated. So they did not want another piece which will also again tell news. They didn't want that. So the RCA was doomed. Their plans were gone. Again, they are cornered into the back. They are in the sense of despair, sense of loss. Now what happened? A young executive called David. At exactly the time, there was a massively popular heavyweight championship boxing fight was coming up between George and Jack. And this fight, you know, heavyweight championships always are termed as the mother of all fights, the fight of the century. This is how the heavyweight championships is sold. And that time, they were able to sell 90,000 tickets, which translated into 1.2 million, which will be now easily $500 million. Such was the hype around that program. And this young executive walks into this company's board, like senior people sitting in that board. And this guy comes and says, guys, I have a great idea. And this idea is, let's broadcast this match. He was just rubbished, kept aside. This guy's appeal was so emphatic that he didn't leave. He went back every single day, day after day, to convince the board, sirs, this is a great opportunity. Let's broadcast. Finally, they could not take this guy, and he said, one of the board directors said, listen, you are on your own. If you want to do it, but board is not approving it. Now, this guy, encouraged with that little word, He managed to get one transmitter because he needed a transmitter. In fact, he stole a transmitter from the nearby army base station. He found somebody who can be, speaker or presenter, and he requested the sales team to put, by the way, do not think radio that time was small, handy, mobile, no. Something like this, maybe bigger than this. Massive piece. So he requested the sales team to put one piece each, maybe in cafeterias, community halls, restaurants, bars. And something unthinkable has happened after this. Something unthinkable has happened, and radio started taking off. The radio, 1921, I'm sorry, I gave the wrong year, and by now it is 100 years. Radio is still a very, very important part of our lives. This guy, David, has caused that innovation just because he was in the problem of this company being closed and his job is at problem. We will also come back about this guy in a while. Now, the third story is about a guy called Malcolm McLean. Again, we go back to 1930s. The background is New Orleans. This is in US. This guy was a truck driver, high school graduate, and at the age of early 20s, he went to a grocery shop. He started working there, and eventually he went into a gas station. There he found trucks were coming and going back, and this guy was paying them $5 a truck for the unload and loading. He suggested, sir, I will take care of this. And then he went on to buy a second-hand truck for the cost of $120, which would be probably $10,000 now. And then he started taking it. Within 3 months, one became 2. Within 1 year, it became 10, something like your story, Ms. Bassi. And then within next 5 years, he amassed a massive fleet of 1,700 plus trucks, biggest in the South Coast. Now he's doing all that work, he's happy, he became one of the influencers in the country. Sometimes he used to drive himself, and those days, the freight, sea freight, train freight, truck freight, different. It is totally in compartmental mode. There was no such a thing called supply chain. There was no such a thing called the single common commerce and trade. This guy went to port one day. He was sitting for 12 hours in the truck, 12 hours. Those days, in 1950s I'm talking about those days, a guy will come, take one piece from the truck. That piece will be going into the warehouse of the port. And again, when at the time of upload into the ship, again, somebody will take one piece and to the ship. Just imagine the amount of time. Only to unload, if this guy is sitting for 12 hours, just imagine what would that be, the time frame that will take by the time it gets loaded into the ship. Exactly the time of the voyage. Such a time. And those days, even though there are a lot of innovations in the country, people, the businessmen were afraid to do the export because of this delay, because of the high amount, the cost of the freight. They were forced to do the domestic business, not the export business. And this guy thought, what a waste, 12 hours I'm sitting here, this is criminal. And he said, what if I load the trucks itself into the ship? My trucks will go into the ship. And then it will go to Jersey, it will go to South Coast, East Coast, and then my trucks will come out of the port, do the delivery, come back. This is what he thought in the beginning. He tried, miserably failed because that's heavy. Ports were not prepared. Ships were not handling such a weight. And it was very difficult because there's no basic infrastructure. Then he came up with a tremendously, dramatically innovative idea that has changed the world forever, the container. The container was his idea. He said, what if a box sitting on the trailer and that box can be separated? So I will save the time. The box will go into the port directly with the lock, and from there it will go into the ship. But what he has to go through is none of the infrastructures were ready for that, but they liked the idea. In 1956, he bought a fleet. In 1956, he has decided, I will do it myself. He bought a fleet of ships, putting all his money at stake. And then he bought the ships. He modified them. He put 100 containers in that. And then he flew to the city where the ship was going. And when he saw the ship was sailing through the canal, he started crying because he knew he has invented something very dramatic that will change forever the world commerce, the trade. The world has changed. Now, in all these three stories, the first one, if you remember, the soldier, he was a leader by title. By position, he was a leader. And then he acted to save his people. In the second story, David, he was neither an inventor nor the founder of the company. He was nobody in the company, just an executive. But he has become the catalyst of the radio business forever. By the way, NBC was formed by the same guy under the same flag of RCA. RCA is no more. NBC is still there. This guy, suddenly he emerges as a leader. And in the third story, Malcolm McLean, he's as good as somebody who was steam engine. Who found steam engine? Anybody? Fulton. Fulton is a phenomena for the world because he has invented the steam engine. Mr. McLean is just at the par of Mr. Fulton, because he has changed the very container. And you know the pain of this becoming a whole world universal process? He took 20 years convincing stakeholder after stakeholder after stakeholder, because this has to become a universal business. And it will fail if any of the traditionally people who thought they have inherited 1,000-year-old the businesses through their legacy, they would object, just like Uber has changed the entire thing. Those days, Mr. Malcolm McLean has changed the entire horizon of the supply chain. Supply chain was born in 1956, thanks to Mr. McLean. Now, in all these three cases, environment was posing a lot of threat, sense of despair, sense of loss. We are governed by two things, fear and greed. I must give a better word to greed, maybe. Let's say it's want. Fear of losing something, fear of losing a business, fear of losing a position, fear of losing a job, fear of losing anything that will go on and on until also fear of losing somebody we love so much, somebody who's so closer to our heart. If McLean has done something in 1956, David has something in 1916, and the soldier has done something in 2002. We are in 2022, we are still talking about these people. And I know that because I'm just halting your dinner, so I cannot go on and give more stories. So there are many people we are talking about who are not even existing. Their dream lives on. Their legacy must be taken up. Miss Basi, I just came to know that dramatic story of Mr. Basi. I don't know if I can share this, but I think you should know why I said there is no better motivational story than Mr. Basi. Is that he came here on a coolie visa, laborer visa. That's how he came into the town. Just imagine this gentleman has created this. What must have gone through in his mind? What must have his dream? if not to offer the livelihood to the hundreds of the people. I've started my life as a waiter. I think that's what you saw. I found a technique which I have actually deciphered in my first book, Moment of Signal, that when you have a dream, the way you manifest your mind, the way you organize your mind will get you abundant help from forces around you and push you upwards. But the secret and the trick to have such a vision and dream is to keep more people in that. If you see all these three stories we just talked about, each one of them were not working only for them. What they have created, whatever they have achieved is now the livelihood reason, the reason of livelihood for many millions of the people ever since. If your vision, if your dream has more people than you, Mr. John, Mr. whoever that is, then the help comes from the forces around you, because people love to offer help. But the problem is, we don't seek help. You know, you don't gain trust of the people when you offer help. John, hi, hello. Do you need something? I'm here. You don't create and you don't establish trust with this. But when you call somebody and ask him, John, looks like this pandemic has halted my plans and I'm not able to progress further. Do you think you can help me? What can I do? Now, there are more than John who is going to help you. Why? Because psychologically, we are showing our vulnerability, one. We are letting the other person to take care of her. The other person is going to take care of you, your safety. The other person is going to give protection to you. That person suddenly assumes the role. Even if that person is supposed to be the meanest, that person will not stop from giving you some help. There's a folklore, okay, enough of real stories. There's a folklore. There's a guy who woke up and then he started walking, and suddenly he lost his way into a jungle, into the woods, and then he didn't know that he had entered into a paradise. He's walking and suddenly he started feeling, the fatigue, and he wanted to take a nap. He saw a tree and under that there's a cushiony bed, and then he felt, okay, I'm tired, and then he fell asleep. When he woke up, he felt so hungry because he had a nice nap. He felt so hungry. Oh, I wish I had the food around. Food came. A hungry tummy wouldn't ask questions, so he started eating. Oh, how nice if I had some drinks. Drinks came. He started consuming the drinks. Now the monkey in his mind woken up because he's no more hungry, he's no more thirsty. His unestablished mind, which is a monkey, a synonym of the monkey, woke up, and then he realized, come on, I was alone, I came here, and I got the food, and I got the drinks. My God, do you think there are some ghosts? Ghosts came. Oh my God, ghosts are going to torture me. They started torturing him. Oh my goodness, they're going to kill me. He died. He didn't know that he was sitting under a wishing tree. And a wishing tree is an established mind equivalent. It is you who will decide. Whenever you complain, there are two mindsets in the life, two mindsets in the world. One complains, one consoles. Complain, get capable. Complain, get competent. Complain, get crucial. Complain, they create. Two mindsets. It is not the two fixed mindsets. Our mindsets keeps changing the places, but there are only two mindsets. When you get into the mode of complaining, you are giving the opportunity to the others to rise, others to take control, others to create, others to become the bosses, others to become everything. I'm not saying, the daily routine that we go through, a lot of ordeals. As I said in the beginning, it is your life. I am nobody. Nobody is nobody to tell you what to do, what not to do. It is your life. You have to live your life. You have to fight the challenges. It is up to you. So there is no motivation for you. You are playing a role in the environment. Can you tune yourself into the frequency that you want to excel in? And the moment you are able to tune every day, if you can train your mind, you are able to inch towards by little, marginally, but you'll do good. If you get your mind organized, your thought gets organized, your emotion gets organized, hence your life energies gets organized. And just imagine what you want. By the way, what do you want? I want wealth, I want this, I want that, you got all. Then what? You want pleasantness within, pleasantness around. That's what you want. When you have everything, when you're sitting in comfort, you feel like, I'm cool, I'm pleasant inside. And also you wanted people to love you, people to be compassionate to you, people to be so kind, people to embrace you. But can you be that person? Can you give such feeling? Because when the pleasantness in the body, that means it is health and pleasure. When the pleasantness in the mind, it is joy and peace. When the pleasantness in your emotion or thought, it is love and compassion. When your pleasantness in the life energies, it is ecstasy and bliss. If you want such an environment, you be that. Whatever you conceive, whatever you manifest, it is up to you. There's nobody who's going to give you lessons. It is your manifestation. If 100 years ago, or let's say 2000, because the Burj Khalifa, I'm aware because I'm here for the last 2 decades. Before 20, 25 years, if somebody tells you that the king of Dubai is planning to build a kilometer steep up into the sky, would you believe? I don't think so. So the mankind is always depending on the past experiences, thinking that, okay, this is it. But the mankind has done dramatic evolution. We have evolved so much. If such mindset, wanting to do whatever, it is up to you. You want to think bad, good, ugly, can be useful just to you, your family, your society, you work for a cause, it's up to you. And finally, before I close, I want to end, this is how I end always, is that, are you giving 1 minute of time towards your well-being? You are that body, you are that everything, because your ambition, your aspiration, your love for someone, your passion, everything is here and in this body, restored in this body. What is genetic? Forget about it. We are not here to contest that. But what is your effort? Are you giving any effort to take care of your body? Because if you want to live for 100 years, and if you are about 40s, 30s, 50s, can it be same functional at the age of 80? And do you do something? Do you overhaul? We are talking about cars. Every now and then you take the car for servicing. Why? You want the car to be in pristine condition. Are you doing that to your body? Don't do it when it is in wreck condition. Do it when it is in healthy condition. That is more important. As much you want to build trust, not when you're in bad condition, you cannot build it. When you're in good condition, only that's a better platform for you to be able to create trust with others. Similarly, please take care of your health. Do whatever little, because you have to have a vision that, because the more you are alive, the more you are functional, the more you are healthy. Healthy means not in the V shape and all that, no. Just healthy, be functional, because you have to crave to be here for 100 years, 80 years, 90 years. And for that, you have to take care of your entire, each minute part of your body. Pay attention, because this is your investment in this life. Without this, zero. Your ambition, your dream, whatever, goes for a toss. Take care. Thank you so much.